Hi guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about my favourite book ever, which is Pride and Prejudice. I think that Jane Austen is full of great observations, and so this is life advice for the 21st century as told by Pride and Prejudice. So the first quote, which I think is fantastic, is, "He is such a disagreeable man that it would be quite a misfortune to be liked by him." Now, this is said to Lizzie when Mr. Darcy is being, as Bridget Jones aptly puts it, arsey Darcy. And I think it's absolutely fitting for whenever we meet somebody who, no matter how hard we try, simply just doesn't want to get on with us. I think you have to think, at the end of the day, what kind of company do you want to be associated with? And if they are that difficult to get on the right side of, do you want them in the end to like you? Probably not. But of course, Jane Austen is the queen of irony, and so there are two meanings to this. When we are talking about prejudice in Pride and Prejudice, everybody's guilty of it, including Lizzie and her family. So whilst it's very easy to say, oh, well, Darcy's such a snob, they're kind of being judgmental too, just on the reverse. They're saying, well, oh, he's just a horrible man. And what we find as the reader, because we're also being prejudiced against him for a long way because we're going along with Lizzie's view, we find that he does have his good points, obviously, but he also has stuff going on that we don't know about at the beginning and for quite a long time. And I think that's just worth bearing in mind whenever you meet somebody, even if they are actually being rude, maybe they genuinely are just having a really bad day, and that's something we can never know. So it's just a reminder, I guess, to try not to leap to those conclusions and not to let your own disappointment or anger or frustration get in the way of how you then go away and talk about that person, because that's not fair and it brings you down more than anyone else anyway. Number two, before the world had Taylor Swift telling us to shake it off, which I know is unthinkable, we had Jane Austen. And just at the first ball, when Darcy refuses to dance with Lizzie, Jane Austen writes, "But she had a lively, playful disposition which delighted in anything ridiculous." Now, I'm not that grown up. If somebody even looks at me wrong in the street, I carry that with me all day. I find it really hard just to go, oh, it doesn't matter. But I think at the end of the day, you can't take these things with you all day. It just gets you down. And find the fun, find your friends, get back in a better mood, and just try and just forget about them. It's just not worth it. Find the ridiculousness, because that's all it is. And then the third quote, which I think actually has a lot of meaning to all of us these days, Lizzie says, "I am no longer surprised at your knowing only 6 accomplished women. I rather wonder now at your knowing any." And so this is when she's kind of having a bit of a passive-aggressive argument with Miss Bingley. And they are just talking about all of the expectations placed on women of the day. Nowadays we are not expected to sing and paint and draw and sew, which is fortunate. But there are, for every generation, there are just huge amounts of expectation placed on all of our shoulders. And so for women slightly older than myself, they'd be talking about the balance of having a career and home and children. But just because we're a bit younger than that and we don't have those same pressures doesn't mean we're completely immune to that society's way of thinking. As a new graduate, I know that there's a lot of pressure to have graduated with this fantastic degree and to go out and get a job and get a house or a mortgage or all these things that are just meant to sort of happen. And they don't always, and that's fine. The problem comes when we perpetuate that idea by expecting it of ourselves and one another. Some people really suit that way of thinking, and they do find their feet really quickly, but not all of us do, and that's absolutely fine. I think if there is any expectation or pressure on you to go ahead and do those things straight away after university or after school, whatever it is that you want to do, make sure that it's what you want to do. At the end of the day, it might feel like you're letting people down around you, but they're not the ones who are going to end up regretting your decision. You are, because it's your life and not theirs. So that is my 3 favourite tips from Pride and Prejudice, and I will see you next week.